Welcome to the Planet Amazon podcast with Adam Schafer, where we explore the world of Amazon and other e-commerce marketplaces. Join us as we delve into the latest strategies and tactics for successful selling on the world's largest online marketplace.
Hello, everybody. I'm Adam Schafer, and welcome to Planet Amazon, where we talk about all things Amazon. And today we're going to talk about a really important topic. In fact, it's almost impossible to be successful on Amazon if you're a seller on Amazon or a brand on Amazon without having brand registry. And so it sounds simple, but there's definitely some steps you need to take. And the most important step is you have to actually have a brand and a trademark, or Amazon will not allow you to create a brand registry account, which gives you a whole bunch of benefits, which we'll talk about. And to help me explain the importance of a trademark and how to get a trademark and how Amazon goes about all this is our special guest today, Janet Morera from Caldera Law. Thank you for joining us today, Janet. We really appreciate you being here.
Well, thank you for having me. I look forward to talking about this.
So you taught me about trademarks because we were trying to figure out how to get a brand registry account going. And the first thing we found we needed was a trademark. And we tried to do it ourselves, and it was very complicated. And we were novices. We're not in the trademark business. And we really struggled trying to figure out how to do it ourselves, although I know people do it. And then the waiting game of waiting to get the brand registry account set up. And then we learned about a program that Amazon has called IP Accelerator, and we met you through there. So can you explain what IP Accelerator is, and then we could get into the fun part of talking about trademarks?
Sure. Well, again, thank you for having me today. I look forward to talking about this. This is something I'm very passionate about. And I've been part of the Amazon IP Accelerator program since its inception in 2019. So Amazon IP Accelerator is basically a program benefit for Amazon sellers, okay? And so Amazon's IP Accelerator consists of Amazon's vetted law firms who are trusted experts who can help businesses establish their IP protection in the United States and expand their brand's footprint in the Amazon marketplace. So we are a law firm, and we are an exclusive provider of legal services. And if you use one of the vetted law firms in the Amazon IP Accelerator program, then you will have early access to Amazon Brand Registry, which is another program for Amazon sellers.
Yeah, I mean, and so that's what we learned by doing it ourselves. We'd have to do the waiting game. And right. And I think that's still pretty accurate, where you have to wait. It could take 6 months to a year to get a use of the trademark, and that's if you are successful. But with an IP Accelerator partner like your company, it was like a couple of weeks.
Yeah. Yeah. So the primary benefit of IP Accelerator is that you have early access to Amazon Brand Registry. So Amazon Brand Registry is a program for Amazon sellers with registered brands, right? Now, the USPTO, the United States Patent and Trademark Office, takes a very long time these days to look at trademark applications due to the influx of trademark applications being filed. So when you file an application, it could be 10 to 12 months before your application is looked at, which means the registration process is even longer than that. So Amazon reacted to that and initiated the IP Accelerator program, giving sellers the ability to gain early access to brand registry, not having to wait until the brand is registered, but only wait until the application has been filed, so long as you are using one of these vetted law firms. So I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, it does. And what we learned also is that, again, if you don't do it right, using this accelerator is great because you can get your brand registry set up, but you still have to go through all the motions of securing your trademark and until it becomes officially your registered trademark, or Amazon could kick you off the brand registry. Is that what happens?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, keep in mind that Amazon Brand Registry is for registered brands. So while you can gain early access to brand registry through IP Accelerator, think of it as sort of a probationary period. You
Mhm.
ultimately have to get a trademark registration in order to stay in brand registry. So you do want to work with, I mean, while the trademark application is a pretty straightforward process, it is one that is a legal process, right? And so when you're dealing with a legal process, it is important to have someone guide you through that process, because the trademark application has long-term and legal consequences and should be carefully prepared by someone who understands those things.
Yeah, for sure. And we definitely ran into some areas. I think the first trademark we did with you, there was definitely, you found some conflicts, and we were, with your help, able to get through the conflicts and be able to keep the brand name that we wanted. So it's not, like I said, straightforward. If we did it ourselves, I mean, I think we would have gone down a path, spent a lot of time and money on it, and then we would have had a kind of create a whole brand new brand name again. So,
Right.
so thank you for that. But so now taking it back just a little bit, and then we'll talk more about brand registry. For those that don't understand, and I know you definitely do, what's a trademark? Like, what do you need one? What is it for?
Well, that's a very loaded question. So let's start with the basics, right? So a trademark is a symbol, a word, or phrase that distinguishes your company's products or services from other companies. Everything that you buy in a store has a brand associated with it, right? It can provide legal protection to the owner of the trademark to have exclusive rights to use that trademark in commerce and to prevent others from using it without their permission. Trademarks are important for businesses because they help establish brand identity and reputation by creating this association between the trademark and the quality of products or services. Trademarks are great communication tools, right? They immediately tell a customer about your brand, about the quality of your products and services. And a strong trademark basically creates consumer trust by ensuring that the trademark is always associated with that same level of quality for the products and services.
And trademark, it could be, you said words, but it could be a picture too.
It could be a picture. It can be a sound. If you think about Yahoo, if you think about the peacock and the chime for NBC, it could be colors. It's anything that acts as a source identifier, and it can be a combination of those things as well.
I didn't realize you could trademark a sound.
Yeah.
So, okay. So like the NBC, like that chime is
Yes.
potentially
Yeah.
trademark. Okay, I didn't realize
Yeah.
that. Cool. I have to come up with a sound. I need
Yeah.
something. So cool. So then if you do have the trademark,
Yeah.
whether it's with Amazon on brand registry or not on Amazon, and somebody says, "Hey, I like that brand name. I want to use that brand name." How does it work? How do you protect yourself?
Okay, so a trademark protects you. Let me talk about a little bit about what a trademark protects against, right? So a trademark covers you for the trademark that you filed. So whether it's a logo, whether it's words plus design, in combination with the goods and services that you've listed in your application, right? And then it protects you for those things on a nationwide level upon registration, right? So it gives you very broad protection across the United States against confusingly similar marks. So the standard for whether a particular use conflicts with an existing trademark is not whether the two marks are identical. That is a large misconception by
Okay.
most people, right? It protects you against marks that are similar to yours. So it gives you a much broader level of protection than one typically thinks of when they think about a trademark. It protects it for the products and against confusingly similar marks.
So that's helpful. I didn't realize that. And when you get a brand or trademark and you're based in the US and you're selling in the US,
Mhm.
you're setting it up with the US Patent and Trademark Office, the USPTO.
Right.
What happens if you want to sell in Canada or in Europe somewhere? Do you have to do it again?
Yeah. And rights are territorial. So every country has trademark laws, right? So when you want to A trademark in another country does not protect you in the US, and a trademark in the US does not protect you in other countries, right? So international sellers can register a trademark wherever it is that they are selling their products and services. And trademark rights are granted by the individual country registries, trademark registries, based on that country's specific trademark laws. So when a company registers a trademark in a particular country, those rights are limited to that country's borders, right? So while a particular seller may have rights in a particular country, maybe their home country, that does not automatically extend to the United States. And vice versa. US sellers that have a US trademark does not mean that they have rights outside the US.
Wow. So you really got to focus. If you're going to start selling in other countries, your brand might already be being used out there for all you know. You don't know without searching, or somebody could also see what you're doing in the US and try to use that brand in a different country.
Absolutely. It happens all the time.
Oh man, that would bum me
Yeah.
out for sure. Cool. So now I guess the big question is, why brand registry? So, I think I would want a trademark because I want to protect my brand, and I want to have this unique brand to help people learn about my products and understand it's a trusted source and blah blah blah. But
Mhm.
with I think that so many of the sellers on Amazon want it because they want that, but they also need the benefits of Amazon's help to protect their brand. So
Right.
once you get brand registry, it opens up a whole set of tools that Amazon gives you. So if you don't have your brand registered with Amazon, which means you have to have a trademark or you
Correct.
cannot get brand registry. So it's like the chicken and the egg, but you got
Right.
to have that trademark first. Once you have brand registry, it unlocks A+ content, so you can tell a much better story about your brand on Amazon for sure. And those that don't have A+ content really suffer because it just you'll have competitors that do have A+ content tell a much better story about their brand and their
Mhm.
products, and it'll give you a much lower conversion without it. And you really do want to tell the story, because one thing you want is to explain to customers why they want your product, how it solves their problems. And you also don't want returns from people saying, oh, let me try that. If you could tell the right story, that'll hopefully prevent some returns and keep people happy. Also, you got to have a trademark to have brand registry, so you can have a brand store or
Mhm.
a seller store. So without that, if you want to again tell a better story about your brand and differentiate yourselves, you need to have brand registry, so you have to have a trademark. If you want to do Vine, which is a reviews program that Amazon has, and in fact, if you have a brand registry account, they'll give you one freebie with 30 reviews. But to get your products reviewed on Amazon, most enroll in their Vine program. Without having a trademark and brand registry, you can't have Vine. If you want to report a violation where somebody is encroaching on your brand on Amazon without having a legal trademark and brand registry, they won't even accept the case. So you need to have the trademark to be able
Yeah.
to have the brand registry, to be able to protect your brand and be able to put cases in about people violating, maybe counterfeiting or doing whatever they're doing. And also, it gives you somebody to talk to at Amazon. There's a brand registry support team that is usually quite helpful to help you solve some of these problems. Um, Also, if you want to do certain types of advertising on Amazon, you have to have a trademark to have a brand registry to be able to do brand advertising and
Mhm.
video advertising. So again, it all goes back to, how do I start? I want all these great features. I want to protect my content. I don't want folks changing the content. I want help getting bad people that are abusing my trademark and my brand off of Amazon. You got to have that trademark. So, I
Yeah.
mean, it all starts there.
Mhm.
And so, what are some cases? Have you ever been involved with sellers on Amazon that say, "Hey, Janet, I got the trademark. It's great, but some other people are using it." Like, give us some of the stories that you've seen.
Yeah, I mean, I have clients who utilize the takedown provisions on Amazon with their registered brands when they see products that are utilizing their trademark. I mean, there's really two different types of sort of unauthorized uses that really come into play on Amazon, I would say. The first is counterfeiting. And what counterfeiting is essentially is knockoffs, right? So pretending to be a brand that you're not. It is the manufacturing or the selling of items that look like a genuine item, but they are not the genuine item. So they are using someone else's brand to sell inferior products, right? And using that brand to attempt to pass off fake products as real products. That's counterfeiting. Okay. The easiest way to think about counterfeiting, I think, for me is fake purses, right? Which is an entire industry in and of
Sure.
itself. But it's pretending to be a Chanel bag when it's really not a Chanel bag. Another method of unauthorized uses are the selling of products using trademarks that are very close. Remember, I use the language confusingly similar, using trademarks that are very close to your trademark, right? So trademark infringement is selling similar products to the products that you're selling, not necessarily with your exact brand name, but using a brand name that is so close to your brand name that it's causing confusion in the marketplace, right? So when it comes to enforcing against these things on Amazon, Amazon is not going to pay attention, and you're not going to have these tools available to you unless you have a registered trademark. And the only way you get a registered trademark is if you actually file for one, right? And the way to get these benefits early is by utilizing an IP Accelerator program. So, yes, we utilize Amazon's tools frequently for our clients that have registered trademarks.
Do you ever help them on Amazon, or do you just advise them? How does that work? So we
Well,
haven't tortured you for that yet.
yeah, I mean, I am not an Amazon platform expert. I would consider myself someone who knows a lot about trademarks. I do have some knowledge of utilizing some of the systems, including brand registry and how to enroll the brand and navigate that system, which actually can be quite complex
Yeah.
to even enroll your brand in brand registry. So I do assist with that. And I obviously have knowledge of the tools to report infringements on Amazon. So that I do utilize.
And what about writing the case? Would you write it, or do you just
Oh
tell
yeah,
them
of
what to do?
course.
Okay, so that's something, because
Yeah,
sometimes writing it the way Amazon wants to hear it is really important.
absolutely. Yeah, of course. We know how to utilize the tools and and being that I have the trademark background, Amazon is one platform where we enforce clients' trademark rights, but it's not the only platform.
Hmm.
And so, in any arena where we're doing that, we have to create the story and provide the information that the arbiter or the person making the decision on the case is going to need to hear in order to move the case forward. So, yes, we are able to do that.
And one thing you taught me also was that trademark is kind of specific to category, right? To product
Mhm.
category.
Yeah.
So there can there be the same brand name, but somebody selling computer equipment and somebody selling clothing?
Yes, there can be. There is a world where that can exist. Now, not if it's Apple, because that's a
Right.
famous trademark, right? But there can be identical marks on very different goods and services. Absolutely.
So, so when you register the trademark, you need to be pretty specific about what types of products that you put us through for sure.
Yeah, the USPTO requires specificity. It is one of the requirements of the trademark application. So you cannot file in um, a general class. Oh, I want class 25. You can't do that. You can't have broad descriptions of goods and services. If you file something with a very overly broad description, the USPTO is going to reject that application. So the description of goods and services has to be sufficiently specific. And that is another reason why hiring counsel is so important, because they understand the intricacies of that. And most people who are not doing this on a daily basis, or have an expertise in this area, don't understand those little technical nuances that have consequences and are very important to the trademark process.
Yeah, I mean, one thing we ran into was we had products in our minds that we wanted to create, but they're not available yet. And you kind of navigated us like you could actually get a trademark for a product that doesn't exist yet, but then you need to do work to make sure that you could keep your trademark. So
Yeah.
can you explain more about that? Because that was a lot of running around on our part to get sorted out.
Well, I mean, that is really the difference between filing a use-based application or an intent to use application. So with a use-based application, the only goods that you can identify in your application are goods that you are using the trademark on and or have sold. So that is very specific, right? But most sellers that I've encountered not only are maybe selling products currently, but have an idea of what they want to sell in the future, right? And when there are products that you have not sold with the trademark yet, you want to include those on an intent to use application. Now, there's a balancing act to that. What you want to sell 10 years from now might not be appropriate to include in a trademark application that you're filing right now. There are strategic considerations to being specific, to having a timeline for the goods and services to be sold, and not necessarily filing an application for the pie in the sky goods and services that you might want to file or might want to sell 5, 10 years from now.
Yeah, and it can't just be a picture, right? You need to actually have a product with the logo on it or the packaging. How does that, what's the rules with that? It can't be vaporware.
Yeah, with regard to ultimately making use of your trademark on your products, the trademark has to appear on the product or it has to appear on the packaging for the product. It has to be exactly as you've applied for it. You cannot make changes. So if you have a logo that you love at the time that you file your application, and then 3 months later, when you go to file, to design your packaging, you change the logo, well, now it's different, right? And that might require the filing of an entirely new application. So at the time of filing, you want to make sure that whatever you are filing is the one that you're going to be using. And then when you actually make use of it, you want to make sure that it's permanently affixed to your products. So permanently affixed means that it's not a sticker, that it's printed on the packaging, that it's embossed on your product, that it's attached to a hang tag that's attached to your product. So we help clients navigate developing specimens, making sure that marketing materials correctly use the trademarks. There's a number of things that we can do to assist our clients with ensuring that the uses that they're making are compliant with trademark law.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And one area that you kind of helped us with also is like we'll fall in love with the brand name that we want to use, and you'll say, I don't know if you want to try to use that, and we'll say, oh, come on, Janet, like we love this name. What are we going to do? And your advice would be what?
Well,
Somebody might be using it. You do a
yeah,
quick search,
it
right?
depends. It depends on that specific trademark. There's so many things that go into it. I mean, a lot of people love descriptive marks. They love to tell customers immediately what they're selling. I'm selling kitchen spatulas, so I want to call my trademark the best kitchen spatulas ever, whatever it is. People like to describe their products. Those make the worst trademarks, right? Because not only do you want to describe it that way, but so does every one of your competitors. So, descriptive marks tend to have risk associated with it that, is I with any business that's starting out, I like to navigate them away from things that are risky, things that are going to be costly, things that are going to be problematic down the line. I mean, when you're starting a brand, you should be starting a brand that's going to carry some weight, that's going to be able to develop goodwill, that's going to be different than your competition. So I try to guide my clients with keeping that in mind.
Plus, in our case, we'd be investing in packaging and in
Correct.
advertising and trying to build the brand. And then you might come back a few months later and say, hey, guys, we got a problem here. So what would happen? You get notified by the USPTO that, hey, this is a problem?
Yeah.
Or a company.
Or,
How does
or
it
my
work? Does the
client,
USPTO come to you or does a company come to you?
either one or both.
Really?
Either one or both. So the USPTO, when they take a look at trademark applications, they're going to look at trademark applications or registrations that are filed with the USPTO. The USPTO is not going to look at the marketplace to determine whether or not there is a conflict, right? Because we're talking about now conflicts between one mark that's been filed versus another mark that's been used before or filed before, right? So as far as the USPTO is concerned, they're going to look at their own database and extract those trademarks that are similar to yours, right? That's one potential issue. And if the USPTO finds a trademark that is similar to yours, then they're going to notify you through what's called an office action, which is another way to say a refusal. And they'll let you know why it's been refused, and then you have the opportunity to respond, right? So that's one issue that could come up if you're using a mark that's similar to somebody else's mark. Another issue that could come up is that the owner of that trademark, right, has an issue with you and your application, and they have an opportunity to oppose your application through the USPTO. They have an opportunity to file a lawsuit against your company, and that's true regardless of whether or not they have a trademark registration. So there are rights in the U.S. that come from use that are common law rights. So even if someone has never registered a trademark, they have the opportunity to file a lawsuit. Now, I say that, right? There are rights that come from use in the United States. So even if you've never filed a trademark application, you can have trademark rights. Now, when it comes to Amazon, common law rights don't win the day. You don't get Amazon brand registry with common law rights.
You have to have a piece
You
of
get
paper.
Amazon brand registry with a registered trademark, right? So there's a difference. It has different implications, different considerations. But when that occurs, when the USPTO issues an office action, then you have the opportunity to respond. But it's not an inexpensive process at that point, right?
Right.
So it becomes expensive because you have to write a legal memorandum. You have to have it with supporting evidence and case law and exhibits to make your argument against the US government as to why they should change their mind. That's not always an easy task.
No.
Now, that's if the USPTO objects, right? If somebody else objects to your trademark application, whether it's through the USPTO or whether it's through the filing of a lawsuit, that's also an expensive endeavor, right? So at that point, a lot of times people just abandon their trademark, right? I'm sorry, go ahead.
What was funny is that I used to think companies, they don't look at this stuff. Like, they have their thing, they're going through their lives, and they're going, and we put a trademark in for something that has nothing to do with what they do, but yet somehow they know. Like, so how do they know?
Well, a lot of companies, a lot of brand owners, right? They utilize subscription services where those subscription services will pull and extract any trademark application or filing, sometimes around the world, depending on the nature of the subscription that you have, of trademark applications that are potentially conflicting with your mark. So large brand owners, right, will have these watch services in place. So they're watching the marketplace to protect their brand and make sure that they enforce their brand against potentially conflicting marks.
Yeah, and so that's something, again, because we were, hey, Janet, we want to use this brand, and you're like, I don't know, like, maybe you shouldn't. We went through anyway. We were in this electronics category that we were trying to do, and then somebody was doing this watching, and they came to us and they said, hey, you can't really use that brand, and it sucked, but you helped us. I mean, we had to go through a couple of steps, but you helped negotiate something with them so we could still use the brand.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, sometimes it's a matter of negotiating some sort of coexistence agreement. But again, this is the type of thing that does require the assistance of counsel to help navigate.
we would have been dead without any professional help. We would have we would have abandoned, because we would have never thought we could go up against this large company.
Right.
And you believe maybe they'll carve something out for us and let us, exist. So that was good. But I guess the moral of the story is you should work with a company like yours or a firm like yours to try to figure out your best chance of success up front, so you don't have
Yeah,
to go through all this stuff, because we've
so
gone through
true.
some of this stuff. And if we would have just spent the time with you to say, hey, let us do some digging around first before you file, that
Yeah.
would have been time well spent, I think.
I mean, I couldn't agree with you more. I think you know, the process, like I said, is straightforward, but there are a lot of nuances. It is a legal process, and with any legal process, there are unforeseen things that come up that only a counsel can navigate. And there are strategic considerations that doing so and considering these things at the beginning of the process may alleviate some of the potential complications later on. So obviously, I am a huge proponent of utilizing counsel in this instance. I mean, if I, you know, I'm I love this process. I really enjoy helping sellers and brand owners navigate this process and finding creative solutions to get you the trademark that you want, by also being reasonable and doing diligence and research in advance of committing fully to a trademark.
I mean, awesome. So how do people access IP Accelerator? Like, how does it work with Amazon?
Well, IP Accelerator is actually, it's a free program, right? You have to have an Amazon seller account. So that's one of the things that you do need. But really, IP Accelerator is a tool that is found um, on the Amazon seller platform.
Right.
And as long as you have an Amazon seller account, you can find us through exploring some of the services that Amazon offers.
And we found you through their IP Accelerator, and I
Right.
think, why did we go with you? Well, you had the coolest ad, but it was because you were, you know what it was? I don't know why, because you were local to us, and we felt,
Yeah.
oh, that's cool. We'll pick somebody local, but it doesn't have to be that way. I mean, you don't need to
No,
be next door to somebody to
no.
work with them. So I think, you go through there, and they're probably all pretty good, although your firm is
They're
probably the
all,
best.
listen, I have to say that all of them are really great firms. I mean, we are colleagues more so than we are competitors. So the fact that they're in this program means that they have gone through a vetting process. It means that they know what they're doing. And ultimately, I think when you choose counsel, you have to pick someone that you're comfortable with, right? This is a long-term process. This is not filing and then we're never going to talk to each other again, right?
Mhm,
We want to be a strategic partner in the development of your business. Your business hopefully is going to grow beyond one brand.
mhm.
It's going to grow beyond one product, right? So we want to be there along with you for this ride that is entrepreneurship, right? And selecting counsel is a personal decision. Any one of these IP accelerator firms, from a business standpoint, is going to be able to help you navigate this process. So then it's beyond that to who is wants to be there for the ride, right? And hopefully that's me.
Well, I mean, we work with you once, and we've been back several times with multiple
Yeah,
brands. So I think once you find the right match, you continue
right,
on with them, because it's definitely, if you're an entrepreneur, it's never one brand. I don't think it's
right.
possible. So I think it continues on. And again, it's important for Amazon because you need those tools if you want to be successful, but you need the trademark anyway. So I know it sounds like, hey, it's a boring story, but we were just at Amazon Accelerate in Seattle, and there was
Yeah,
a breakout on trademarks, IP Accelerator, and brand registry. And it was probably the busiest session they've had, where people were sitting around, and they didn't really like you sitting around the wall, but they made you stand up. But it was really well trafficked. And so many people have questions about trademarks, and how do I get a trademark, and do I need it in all the countries? And so I
yeah,
think, just spending time with you and understanding it, would help, because that was a really short session. And I
yeah.
think there's still a lot of questions out there that people have, but you cannot be successful on Amazon if you don't have brand registry and you're trying to sell your own brand. And if
Yeah.
you're an agency and you're working with a brand, they need to have brand registry if you're going to help them become successful. So it all
Mhm.
comes back to you got to have a trademark. A lot of brands already do. I've worked with
Yeah.
brands where, and I guess this is a question, like we've worked with brands and like, oh my God, we got that trademark so many years. I don't even know where the hell it is. I don't know who the lawyer is. Like, what do you do when you're a brand and you're like, I don't know. How do I find my trademark? I don't have it in my drawer.
Well, I mean, first of all, you can search it up on the USPTO, right? So if you think you have a trademark,
So their website.
The USPTO website, yeah, is a great resource. Start there and see if the application and the registration is still alive. I mean, there is a shelf life to trademark registrations, right? If you don't take action to maintain them. So a trademark registration is issued for typically a 10-year period, but there are filings that you have to do at the 5th and 6th year, the 9th and 10th year, and every 9 to 10 years thereafter to keep the registration alive, right? So there are times when registrations lapse due to the fact that these things are not maintained. However, if that occurs, again, reach out to counsel, see if they can help you file a new application. But, just because you had a registration once doesn't automatically guarantee you're going to get that again, because in that intervening time, someone else may have filed an application that now conflicts, right? So, yeah.
So when we set up the brand registry accounts, I think obviously for everybody, it asks you for a code, and
Yeah.
it goes to the law firm that actually filed the registration for you. I think that's how it works. And we had a brand that we were working with. It's a horrible story, but their lawyer died, and they didn't even have a way to get through. Like the firm must have closed. It was a one.
Well,
What? How do you move it to somebody like you, because it's emailing to somebody that's dead?
Well, okay. So the thing that you can do there is having your new counsel file a change of correspondence, right? Hiring an attorney.
Okay, so you can do that. It's not locked
Absolutely.
forever. Okay.
Yeah. You can do that. File the change of correspondence, identify a new counsel, and then thereafter, once that's been recorded with the USPTO and the information's been updated, then you can go through that process again.
I didn't realize that. It sounded like it was like a dead end. So I'm glad. No pun intended, but it was obviously horrible. So cool. So again, I think IP Accelerator is a great program. I think your firm has done us really well. We really appreciate everything you've done. And I think that if anybody out there needs help just with basic questions about trademarks, or you want to file the trademark, I do recommend, working with Janet and Caldera Law. They've been doing this forever, and they're a vetted Amazon IP Accelerator partner. How do people get in touch with you if they want to reach out?
They can get in touch with me by contacting me through the Amazon Seller Central dashboard, right? There's a way for you to navigate and find the IP Accelerator services, and you can contact the provider. And that's, we show up on the Amazon platform as Maven by Caldera Law. You can also reach out to us by emailing us at trademarks@Caldera, CALDERA.law. Or you can call our office, which is 305-967-7450. So all kinds of ways that you can reach out to us and get in touch.
We'll put that information in the show
Wonderful.
notes, so people can link over to that. That'll be great.
Yeah.
And any parting words for our guests today when we wrap things up here?
Well, I mean, I think one of the important things that you can think about is that, the trademark, once you have one, is not just for your use on Amazon, right? Once you have a registered trademark, you have the exclusive right to use that trademark in commerce in the United States. That's on any platform. That's, at a retail store, that's at mom and pop shops, that's anywhere. So it's very important to note that trademark rights, when you file them with the USPTO, are beyond the Amazon seller platform.
Yeah,
very valuable.
That's for sure. Great. Well, thank you very much. Important topic, and hopefully you'll join us again and we can go even deeper. Well, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching another episode of the Planet Amazon podcast, where we talk all things Amazon. If you want to learn about how to accelerate your sales on Amazon, visit Phelps United's website at phelpsunited.com.